First, I would like to thank, the Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, for voting in favor of this important, significant resolution. This is a part of the trajectory adopted by this government to support Palestinian rights and to acknowledge the Palestinian rights, including self-determination of the Palestinian people and the recognition of State of Palestine. This is not surprising because Australia used the term now occupied Palestinian territory. This means that recognizing that the Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem, West Bank, Gaza, are occupied according to international law. This voting, positive voting, is inconsistent and in accordance with the international law and the latest advisory opinion by the International Court of Justice.
Yeah, okay then. So why is it relevant? What actually would it mean to the Palestinian people?
This means that more international community recognize the rights of Palestinians, and means that that Palestinians have the right to self-determination and control their own resources. On the ground, it will be very difficult because, as you know, Israel is continuing occupying Palestine, still having land theft, confiscating land and building settlements there, and apply apartheid system in Palestine. So I think it's not symbolic, it's important because it's a very important step towards the realization of Palestinian state. On the ground, we will continue, our own legal battle and our engagement with international community to end the Israeli occupation according to international law.
America and Israel voted against this in the committee. When there is no American support, it does seem unlikely to go through. And the argument from them being that while there are Hamas fighters hiding in tunnels below hospitals within the Palestinian territory, there should not be any withdrawal. Do you see that that's where they come from?
No. Before 1988, there was nothing called Hamas, and we were engaged in genuine negotiations for more than 20 years at that time. And unfortunately, Israelis, rejected all proposal for peace, which we presented at that time in very good faith. So, this is just an excuse about Hamas, because as you also observed as a journalist and following what's happening in the Israel-Palestine conflict, that there was a lot of resolutions by Israeli Knesset that they will reject any self-determination of Palestinian people and the establishment of Palestinian states between the Mediterranean and Jordanian River. Very recently, as you also followed, in 2 days, like Smotrich mentioned that he has the intention to annex West Bank, and this is supported by his Prime Minister Netanyahu. So it goes beyond the issue of Hamas, actually.
What happened diplomatically that Australia has shifted its position, firstly to move away from its close ally, the United States, but to actually, for Penny Wong, to sign this side, to say that this should be called for?
Penny Wong doesn't, support one side. I think this is support the international law, justice, and also support, the ICJ advisory opinion, and also the international legitimacy, and also engaging with the good company now in the world, and a global South who's really very supportive to the Palestinian right. I think this is inconsistent with international law. It's consistent with Australia's position that this is not disputed area in Palestine. This is occupied territories, and if it's occupied territories, this means that we have the sovereignty as Palestinian Authority, to have full control, and Palestinian people to have full control on our own natural resources. Of course, there are other factors, elements, what happened in Gaza, and this huge support from grassroots movement, constituencies in Australia also to self-determination of the Palestinian people. And I think the Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian community and other advocacy groups, wider Australian public is very supportive, to the Palestinian rights.
So while this proposal, which will then go to committee in recognising permanent sovereignty for the Palestinians, is there, it will be in black and white in the United Nations, Israel doesn't tend to heed any reports, recommendations, committee findings from the UN or the ICJ. So is it of any relevance?
Look, I mean, it's maybe people thought that maybe it's symbolic, but it's not. I mean, we have an accumulative process continuing our own legal, fight for justice and for the implementation of international law. I think now there is a coalition of more than 150 countries who support the recognition of State of Palestine. The foreign minister herself said that, it's the Security Council should recognize Palestine in a limited period of time. And although people thought that in the ground nothing will happen, but this is one of our own battles and accumulative process for freedom and in the Israeli occupation. This is not just symbolic. It's really important to have more than 150 countries to support Palestinian, to support and acknowledge the Palestinian right. Then there are other factors in which we should adopt as Palestinian Authority and Palestinian government to implement and realize, this support to Palestinian rights on the ground.
Izzat Abdulhadi, head of the General Delegation of Palestine, thank you for talking to us on ABC News today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And just to say, we did invite the Israeli ambassador to Australia, that's Amir Maimon, to speak with us as well, and we hope we can bring you that interview soon when we have confirmation.